Hey, so this is the video nobody asked for, but I want to do so I can remind myself what was on the mound early in the spring. It's hard to remember, so I'm just going to start at the back and try to go over as much as I can, like 80% of the stuff. There's a tiny little catnip down here. Look, Biskies. Catnip. Catnip. It's over here. Noodle beans, pole beans, super awesome columbine I got from Chris and Brittany's new place. Coming around here, bachelor button, larkspur, cilantro, butternut squash, Cosmo. There's a basil, potato that's probably not going to make it. Ground cherry is probably not going to make it. A monarda, some passion flower coming up behind it. Next to the bottom of this giant kale, but there's pole beans back there. There's 3 squash in that straw pile. Clover underneath this giant, hi Biskies, giant kale that's still blooming. Been blooming for a while. And then on the other side of that is the super giant verbena, bachelor button, poppies, coming around. We got the clover, poppies, larkspur, bachelor buttons. There's a squash down in there. And back in this ring, there's black cherry tomatoes, a mystery tomato, a larkspur that's blooming, a borage, a verbena. There's a little tiny poof of dill down here, next to the borage. We'll see how that does. There's some of that around there. There's basils in there. And coming around down the mound, 2 beans down here, garlic chives, a cilantro that's blooming, a larkspur back there, cardinal flower thing, a ground cherry, flowering tobacco, bachelor button. And then we got this giant chicory I got from Chris and Brittany. And then coming around here, we got the bachelor buttons. There's some beans down there, radish, poppies back there. There's love in the mist that's going to be white, slightly disappointing. There's alluring peach. There's onions, garlic chives back there. There's some verbena seedlings underneath there. And there's sunflowers along the whole mound. More bachelor buttons, poppies, Egyptian walking onions, regular onions. There's that giant boysenberry back there. Here we got a borage and a poppy and more bachelor buttons. And then there's a squash over there. In front of this asparagus patch that has this tobacco in it. And just a bunch of other stuff. And then if we move down, we got the borage and the poppies with this kale. Along here, there's a squash, radishes that are about to bloom, the yarrow, more love in a mist. Beans are down there, some clover. It's my acerola, cigar plant, coming down. More squash, more poppies, a pot with a moringa, and flowering tobacco, cilantro down there, squash, bachelor buttons, cilantro, the white love in the mist. There's a clover, a pepper, regular onions, a couple of those tiny little pink buckwheats that I love so much. Here's squash, purple basil, a verbena, poppies, beans, pepper, sunflowers. I need to move those. More bachelor buttons, cilantro. You can kind of see that fennel up there. Almost to the front half. another tall verbena, 3 onions, buckwheat around that, beans, tiny larkspur that's not doing great. There's a borage back there, plumbago. I just haven't decided where to plant. And over here we've got squash, verbena, 2 Cherokee purple tomatoes that are doing good. We walk around, you can see there's a ton of stuff here. Bachelor buttons, pink clover, more bachelor buttons. There's 2 little echinacea I moved from the front. A couple lilies here, buckwheat, nasturtium, verbena, borage, a cosmo. There's dills in there somewhere. I'm gonna move around here. Out of the way, biscuits. But poppies, biscuits, clovers, more clovers, garlic chive, fennel, tall verbena, for that. Bachelor buttons behind there. Oh. Nasturtium. There's a tiny love in the mist in there. There's a poppy. There's a bean. There's clovers with yellow flowers. There's a nasturtium there. There's this native sage at the bottom of this bachelor button. White Shasta daisies, beans, another echinacea, borage, this big lily that's going to bloom. And behind here, we've got basils, atomic grape tomatoes, more poppies, and then over back through there's other vegetables, squashes, cucumbers. This is the back side of the yarrow, another flowering tobacco. I'm going to probably pull out, it's not doing great. It's kind of past its time. Beans, there's this whole patch of poppies, super nice. Get back so you can see them. Oh, they're super pretty. Got those from work. And then next to it, there's these giant Egyptian walking onions that have the crazy flowers made of just tinier onions, which I'm liking, and that's in with all this asparagus. Bachelor button. We got the red buckwheat, beans, oh, little biscuit. There's some cosmos in there. There's a red sunflower. There's some more poppies. Coming over here, there's the salvia and rose. But through here, we got poppies, larkspur, verbena, lilies, beans, red clover. This is the back side of the little thing that's got the tomatoes with the larkspur and poppies. Got these clovers, they're just not blooming because it's early. There's a borage behind it. This lettuce is nice. We got that. Got my poppies, cigar plant, nasturtium, borage, larkspur. There's basils throughout here, more buckwheat. This is the oregano, garlic chives, more butternut squash, sunflower, bachelor button, another patch of these walking onions down here with more verbena. Then there's a clover, and then there's the comfrey, and we're back to where the catnip started. And there's the cat.